Before we dive into today's video, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. This channel is built for people who want to understand money on a deeper level, and if that sounds like you, you belong here. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video that could change your financial future. Now, let me tell you about someone you have probably seen 100 times without ever noticing. He is the guy in the grocery store parking lot, the one driving a 12-year-old sedan with a small scratch on the rear bumper. His clothes are clean but unremarkable. No designer labels, no flashy watch, no expensive shoes. He looks like anyone. He looks like no one. And that is exactly how he wants it. Because that man, the one you just walked past without a second glance, has a net worth of over $2 million, and almost nobody in his life knows it. Not his neighbors, not his coworkers, not most of his extended family. He is not hiding his wealth out of fear or shame. He's hiding it because he learned a lesson that most people never understand until it is far too late. Real wealth does not need to be seen to be felt. Let me repeat that because it might be the most important sentence in this entire video. Real wealth does not need to be seen to be felt. The man with the 12-year-old car feels his wealth every single morning when he wakes up. He feels it in the silence of a mind that is not racing with financial anxiety. He feels it in the certainty that if he lost his job tomorrow, he would be fine for years. He feels it in the freedom to say no to things he does not want to do. He does not need you to see it. He only needs to feel it himself. This is the quiet millionaire, and his story is more relevant to your financial future than anything you will ever read about the loud rich. We live in a world that worships visible success. Social media has turned wealth into a performance. People rent luxury cars for Instagram photos. They buy designer clothes on credit cards they cannot pay off. They stretch themselves to the breaking point to live in zip codes they cannot actually afford. The pressure to look rich has never been more intense, and the cost of trying to look rich has never been higher.
But while the world is busy performing wealth, there is a completely different group of people quietly accumulating it. They are not on social media showing off. They are not driving the newest cars. They are not wearing clothes that scream expensive. And yet, their net worth statements tell a story that would shock most of their friends and family. These people have cracked a code that the rest of society seems to have forgotten. They understand a fundamental truth about money that changes everything once you truly absorb it. Money has only two real purposes: to buy things you need and to buy freedom. Every dollar you spend on things you do not need is a dollar you are trading your freedom for. That is the entire equation. It is that simple. The quiet millionaire looks at a brand new luxury SUV and does not see status. He sees two things. First, he sees an asset that will lose approximately 40% of its value in the first 3 years. Second, he sees the years of his life he would have to exchange just to own something that does the exact same thing his current car does. It gets him from point A to point B. Once you see money this way, you cannot unsee it. Let me give you a concrete example so you can feel the weight of this decision. Imagine you are considering buying a brand new luxury vehicle for $80,000. You currently drive a perfectly functional car that is paid off and reliable. On the surface, this seems like a simple purchase decision. You can afford the monthly payment, so why not? Now, let's run the real math that almost nobody does. That same $80,000 invested in a simple, low-cost index fund earning the historical average of 10% annually becomes approximately $207,000 in 10 years. In 20 years, it becomes nearly $538,000. In 30 years, that one car purchase just cost you almost $1.4 million in future wealth. One car, one decision, $1.4 million. Now, you might be thinking, but I need a car to live my life. And you are absolutely right. The quiet millionaire is not suggesting you walk everywhere or ride a bicycle in the rain. He is simply asking you to recognize the difference between a car that serves your need for transportation and a car that serves your ego.
Between those two choices, compounded over decades, is quite literally the difference between being wealthy and just looking wealthy. And this principle applies to everything. The house that is bigger than you need, the kitchen renovation you financed instead of saving for, the vacation that went on a credit card, the wardrobe upgrades that you bought because you felt you deserved them. Every single one of these decisions seems small in isolation, but together, compounded over a lifetime, they add up to millions of dollars in lost wealth. The quiet millionaire is not cheap. He is not depriving himself. He is simply ruthlessly honest about what actually brings him happiness and what is just social pressure dressed up as desire. He spends generously on things that genuinely improve his life: quality food, meaningful experiences with his family, books and learning, health and wellness. But he refuses to pay for the approval of strangers who are not even paying attention to him in the first place. This is not about deprivation. This is about intentionality. The quiet millionaire has simply chosen freedom over performance, and that choice, made consistently over many years, is what separates him from the people who will be working into their 70s despite earning high incomes their entire careers. There is something else the quiet millionaire understands that almost nobody talks about. When you do not look wealthy, something remarkable happens. You discover who actually respects you for who you are, rather than for what you have. Your friendships become more genuine. Your relationships become more honest. You stop attracting people who are only interested in what they can get from you. The quality of your social circle improves dramatically without you having to do anything except stop trying to impress people. Think about that for a moment. By simply choosing not to display your wealth, you automatically filter out the exact people you do not want in your life anyway. The people who would be drawn to a flashy car or an expensive watch are not the people who will be there for you when things get hard. The quiet millionaire knows this. He has seen it play out in the lives of others, and he has chosen a different path. There's another layer to this that goes even deeper. The quiet millionaire sleeps better at night. He does not worry about whether his job is secure enough to cover next month's car payment because he has no car payment. He doesn't stress about whether the economy might turn and crush his business because his living expenses are so low that he could survive for years without any income at all. His modest lifestyle is not just a wealth-building strategy, it's a mental health strategy. It's a stress reduction strategy. It's an anxiety-proof shield that protects him from the financial worries that keep most people awake at night.
When you live far below your means, the world becomes a much less threatening place. Job loss becomes an inconvenience rather than a catastrophe. Market downturns become buying opportunities rather than sources of panic. Life's unexpected expenses become minor annoyances rather than financial emergencies. You are not just building wealth, you are building peace. Let me tell you about someone I will call Robert. Robert is not his real name, but his story is entirely true. Robert is a high school science teacher. He has been teaching biology and chemistry for almost 30 years. His salary has never exceeded $70,000 in a single year. He drives a 14-year-old Honda Accord that he bought used and paid off within 2 years. He lives in the same modest 3-bedroom house he purchased 25 years ago. He packs his lunch every single day. He buys his clothes at department stores, not designer boutiques. He takes his family on one nice vacation every summer, always paid in cash, never on credit. If you met Robert at a barbecue, you would never guess what his net worth is. You would probably assume he's getting by, maybe saving a little, like most people. You would be wrong. Robert has a net worth of nearly $2.8 million. He achieved this on a teacher's salary through nothing more than consistent investing, modest living, and the quiet power of compound interest working over decades. He will retire next year at age 58 with complete financial independence.
He will never have to work another day in his life unless he chooses to. His colleagues, many of whom earn similar salaries, are looking at working until at least 65, some until 70. The difference was not their income, the difference was their choices. Robert is not special. He is not a genius. He did not inherit money. He did not get lucky in the stock market. He simply understood something that most people refuse to accept. The quickest path to wealth is not earning more, it is needing less. When you need less, you save more. When you save more, you invest more. When you invest more, your money starts working for you instead of you working for money. That is the entire secret. That is the whole formula. Now, I want to address the objection that is probably forming in your mind right now. You might be thinking, this sounds great, but I also want to enjoy my life. I do not want to live like a miser and die with millions in the bank without ever having fun. This is a fair concern, but it misunderstands what the quiet millionaire is actually doing. He is not saying no to enjoyment. He is saying no to the specific forms of
spending that look impressive but feel empty. He is redirecting his money toward things that genuinely create happiness rather than things that merely project status. Research on happiness and spending is remarkably consistent on this point. Once your basic needs are met, additional spending on material possessions produces almost no lasting increase in happiness. The new car thrill fades within weeks. The bigger house becomes just your normal house within months. The designer clothes sit in your closet and eventually become just clothes. Hedonic adaptation is relentless. You get used to everything. But spending on experiences, especially experiences shared with people you love, produces memories that actually appreciate in value over time. Spending on time-saving services that give you more hours with your family creates real quality of life improvement. Spending on health, education, and personal growth compounds in ways that material purchases never can. The quiet millionaire understands this distinction. He spends freely on things that create genuine, lasting happiness and refuses to spend on things that only create temporary impressions. That is not deprivation. That is wisdom. Let us go deeper into the psychology here, because this is where the real battle takes place. The decision to live below your means is not primarily a financial decision. It is a psychological decision. It is a decision to separate your self-worth from your net worth. It is a decision to stop using money as a scoreboard for your life. And this is much harder than it sounds. We are social creatures. We care deeply about what others think of us. This is not a character flaw. It is hardwired into our brains through millions of years of evolution. In tribal societies, visible status was directly tied to survival. Those with higher status had better access to resources, better mates, and better protection. Our brains have not caught up to the modern world, where visible status displays often destroy rather than enhance our actual well-being. When you drive a 12-year-old car while your neighbors drive new luxury vehicles, something uncomfortable happens inside your brain. You feel a small twinge of inadequacy. You imagine them looking at you and thinking less of you. You feel the urge to upgrade, not because you need a new car, but because you need to feel like you are keeping up. This feeling is ancient, it is primal, and it is almost entirely wrong. Here's what is actually happening. Your neighbors are probably not thinking about your car at all. They are too busy worrying about their own financial pressures, their own status anxieties, and their own problems. And even if they are judging you,
Judgment has exactly zero impact on your actual quality of life. The opinion of a neighbor cannot pay for your retirement. It cannot buy your freedom. It cannot give you peace of mind. The quiet millionaire has trained himself to recognize this social programming and override it. He feels the same twinge of inadequacy that everyone feels. He simply has learned not to act on it. He lets the feeling arise, acknowledges it, and then lets it pass without reaching for his wallet. This is a skill, and like any skill, it can be developed with practice. Every time you resist the urge to spend money on something you do not truly need, you strengthen this muscle. Every time you choose freedom over appearance, you become a little more financially bulletproof. Over time, the decisions that once felt difficult start to feel natural. You stop wanting things you never actually wanted in the first place. You were just told by advertising and social pressure that you should want them. Let me give you another angle on this that most people have never considered. When you live far below your means, something magical happens to your career. You suddenly have leverage. You can negotiate harder for better pay because you are not desperate. You can walk away from toxic work environments because you are not trapped by your expenses. You can take career risks that others cannot afford to take because your financial overhead is so low. The person with the 12-year-old car and the modest house can tell a bad boss exactly what he thinks and mean it. He can start a business on the side without fear of failure. He can take a sabbatical to figure out what he actually wants to do with his life. He can retire early and pursue work that matters to him regardless of what it pays. This is not just about having money in the bank. This is about having options, and options are the ultimate form of wealth. Money in the bank is just numbers on a screen. What those numbers actually represent is the ability to make choices based on what you want rather than what you can afford. That is what the quiet millionaire has that the loud spender does not. He has choices. Now, let us talk about the practical side. How do you actually become this person? How do you train yourself to care less about what others think and more about what your bank statements say? How do you rewire your brain to prioritize freedom over performance? The first step is the hardest, but also the most powerful. You have to get brutally honest with yourself about your own spending. Not the spending you do because you genuinely enjoy it, but the spending you do because you think it makes you look
successful. The spending that happens when you're trying to impress someone. The spending that you justify to yourself with phrases like, "I deserve this," or "I have worked hard," or "everyone else has one." Take a hard look at your last 6 months of expenses. Highlight every purchase that was more about appearance than genuine need or genuine enjoyment. Be honest. Nobody else is watching. This is between you and yourself. I promise you the total will shock you. The second step is to run the compounding math on those highlighted purchases. For every dollar you spent on status signaling, calculate what that dollar would have become in 20 years if invested instead. This is not about guilt. This is about clarity. You need to see, in black and white, what your ego is actually costing you. When you realize that the designer watch you bought last year will cost your future self tens of thousands of dollars in lost compounding, you start to see purchases differently. You start to see them as trades. This watch now, or that much more freedom later. This car now, or that many years of early retirement later. Every purchase becomes a choice between present appearance and future freedom. And once you see that choice clearly, it becomes much easier to make the right one. The third step is to find your people. The quiet millionaire is not a hermit. He has friends and community and social connection, but he has chosen to surround himself with people who value him for who he is, not for what he owns. If your current social circle pressures you to spend money you do not want to spend, you might need to ask yourself whether those relationships are serving you or draining you. This does not mean you have to abandon your friends, but it might mean spending more time with the ones who do not care about your car and less time with the ones who seem very interested in your watch. Over time, your social circle will naturally shift toward people who share your values, and you will find that those relationships are far more fulfilling than any you have had before. The fourth step is to replace spending with other forms of reward. One of the reasons people overspend is that they do not have other ways to feel good about themselves.
They use purchases as a shortcut to dopamine. The quiet millionaire has built a life that produces satisfaction without requiring constant consumption. He has hobbies that challenge him. He has skills he is developing. He has relationships that nourish him. He has goals that excite him. He does not need to buy things to feel alive because his life is already full. This is perhaps the most overlooked aspect of this entire philosophy. The reason it is so hard to stop spending is that spending is filling a void. If you remove the spending without filling the void with something meaningful, you will just go back to spending.
The quiet millionaire is not white-knuckling his way through deprivation. He is simply too busy enjoying his actual life to care about impressing strangers. Now, I want to take a moment to talk about what happens when you actually reach this point, when your net worth crosses into the millions, but your lifestyle remains firmly middle class. When your investments generate more income than your neighbor's full-time job, but you still drive the same car you have had for years. Something shifts inside you. A deep calm settles in that is hard to describe, but impossible to miss once you experience it. Money stops being a source of stress and starts being a source of quiet confidence. You know that you could spend more if you wanted to. You choose not to. That choice, made freely every single day, is more satisfying than any purchase could ever be. The freedom to buy without needing to is far more pleasurable than the actual buying. This is the secret that the loud rich will never understand. They spend to feel rich. The quiet millionaire already feels rich, so he does not need to spend to prove it. He has already won the game. He's just continuing to play because he enjoys it. And here's something else that might surprise you. The quiet millionaire is often far more generous than the person who looks rich. Because his expenses are low and his wealth is high, he has enormous capacity to give. He can help family members in genuine need. He can support causes he believes in. He can be generous with friends and colleagues in ways that do not draw attention. His wealth does good in the world precisely because he did not waste it on himself first. The person who spends everything on appearances has nothing left to actually help anyone. The person who keeps their wealth quiet often has abundant resources to make a real difference in the lives of others. The irony is that the person who looks rich often has the least capacity for genuine generosity, while the person who looks ordinary often has the most. Let me leave you with a question that has guided many quiet millionaires on their journey. It is a question you should ask yourself before every significant purchase. It is simple but powerful. It cuts through all the rationalizations and justifications and gets straight to the heart of the matter. What is more important to you? Looking rich or being free? You cannot have both, not sustainably. The math doesn't work. You have to choose. The quiet millionaire has already made his choice. He made it years ago. He makes it again every single day, every time he is tempted to upgrade something that doesn't need upgrading. He chooses freedom. He chooses peace. He chooses options.
He chooses to let his bank statements do the talking, while his lifestyle remains utterly unremarkable. And if you passed him in the grocery store parking lot tomorrow, you would never know. You would see a 12-year-old car with a scratch on the bumper and assume the driver was just getting by. You would be wrong. He is not just getting by. He is getting free. And there is a world of difference between those two things. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever felt the pressure to spend money just to look successful? Have you ever bought something expensive primarily because you thought it would impress other people? Drop your honest answer in the comments below. Your story might help someone else recognize this pattern in their own life and make a different choice. If this video gave you something valuable, please share it with one person in your life who needs to hear this message. Someone who is working hard but might be spending too much of their income on things that do not actually make them happy. This video might be the wake-up call they need. And if you are not subscribed yet, this is your moment. Hit that subscribe button and join a community of people who are serious about building real wealth, not just looking wealthy. I release videos every week about the financial truths that most people learn too late, and I want you to be part of this journey. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.